Let's tear this apart right now. You walk around saying, I'm just not a confident person, or I'm bad with money, or I'm not the type of person who succeeds. And you say it with such conviction, such finality, as if it were etched into your DNA at birth, as if some cosmic force stamped a label on your forehead. And that was that. But let me ask you a question that might make you uncomfortable. Who decided that? Who wrote that script? Because I can guarantee you, it wasn't you. It was a version of you from 5 years ago or 10 years ago who had a bad breakup or lost a job or got laughed at in a classroom. And that version of you, that wounded, scared version, made up a story to keep you safe. It said, if I don't try, I can't fail. It said, if I stay small, nobody can hurt me. And you bought it. You bought it so completely that you forgot it was a purchase you made, not a fact you were born with. Your identity is not a life sentence. It is a wardrobe. You can change it every single day. The person you are today is merely the sum of the decisions you made yesterday. That means the person you are tomorrow is entirely dependent on the decisions you make in the next 60 seconds. You have the power right now, in this very moment, to look at yourself in the mirror and say, that story doesn't fit me anymore. And when you say it with enough juice, enough emotion, enough fire in your belly, your brain has no choice but to follow. Your brain is a loyal servant. It will believe whatever you tell it most passionately. So if you keep telling it you're weak, it will find evidence to prove you, right? But if you tell it you are unstoppable, it will start scanning the horizon for proof of that too. Stop defining yourself by your history and start defining yourself by your destiny. The past is a ghost. It has no power over you unless you invite it in. So evict it, change the story, and you change the game. That is where belief begins, not in achievement, but in declaration. You are sitting there right now, waiting for the clouds to part, waiting for a lightning bolt of motivation to strike you, waiting for some mystical feeling of readiness to wash over you like a wave. And because that feeling hasn't arrived, you do nothing. You stay frozen. You stay small. You tell yourself, I'll start on Monday, or I'll do it when I feel more confident, or I just need to figure out a little more first. That is the most dangerous trap you will ever fall into. And let me tell you why. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action. It is a byproduct of action. You have it completely backwards. You think that you need to feel certain before you can move, but the truth is that you need to move before you can feel certain. It is a chemical reaction, plain and simple. When you change your physiology, when you stand up straight, when you square your shoulders, when you breathe deep into your belly, when you take that first awkward, terrifying step forward, your nervous system gets the message. Your brain releases a cocktail of chemicals that say, we are engaged. We are doing this. We are alive. Certainty is not a thought. It is emotion. Think about it this way. If you are slumped in your chair, your chin down, you're breathing shallow, your brain interprets that as defeat. It says, we are in danger, we are weak, stay still. But if you pop up, if you expand your chest, if you move with speed and purpose, your brain says, oh, we are powerful, we are in control. It is instant, it is mechanical, it is undeniable. You cannot think your way into a new life. You cannot meditate your way into a new bank account. You cannot visualize your way into a new relationship. You have to move. You have to take the action before the feeling arrives. And here is the magic. The feeling always chases the action, always. It might take 30 seconds, it might take 30 minutes, but certainty will catch up to you if you just start running. So stop waiting for the bus of confidence to pick you up, start walking, and the bus will find you on the road. Let me ask you something brutally honest right now. How much of your mental energy today was spent on things you have absolutely zero power to change? Be honest with yourself. How much time did you waste worrying about what your boss thinks of you? How much time did you burn stressing over the economy or politics or what that person said about you 3 weeks ago? You are bleeding energy every single day on a battlefield you cannot win. It is like standing in the middle of a hurricane and screaming at the wind to stop. It is exhausting, it is futile, and it is the number one reason you feel powerless. You feel like you don't believe in yourself because you have scattered your focus across 1,000 things you cannot touch. And in doing so, you have left nothing for the things you actually can. It is financial bankruptcy, but for your soul. You have a limited tank of fuel every single day. And if you are pouring that fuel into worrying about the weather, worrying about the past, worrying about how other people judge you, then you have zero fuel left to steer the ship. Here is the shift that changes everything. You must become a sniper with your focus. A sniper does not worry about the entire war. A sniper worries about one breath, one trigger pull, one target. That is how you must operate. You need to draw a line in the sand right now and say, if I cannot influence it, I will not give it my attention. That takes discipline. That takes practice. But when you do it, something miraculous happens. You suddenly realize that you have an enormous amount of power over the small circle of things that actually matter. Your attitude, your effort, your actions, your words, your daily habits. That circle is smaller than you think, but it is also infinitely more powerful than you realize. When you focus all of your firepower on that tiny circle, you start winning, you start moving, you start believing because you are seeing results. The world outside that circle can scream and thrash all at once, but it does not get to rent space in your head. Protect your focus like it is gold, because it is. That is how you build unshakable belief. I need you to do something uncomfortable right now. I need you to look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Go ahead, picture their faces, really see them. Now ask yourself this brutal question. Do they demand excellence from you? Do they challenge you to grow? Do they celebrate your wins? Or do they secretly feel threatened by them? Or, and this is the one that stings, do they validate your excuses? Do they nod along when you complain about your job, when you blame your circumstances, when you say, I can't, for the 100th time? Because let me tell you something that is going to hurt, but you need to hear it. You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Their habits become your habits. Their beliefs become your beliefs. Their limits become your limits. It is not just a nice saying, it is neurobiology. Your brain has mirror neurons that constantly mimic the emotional states and behaviors of the people around you. If you are surrounded by people who are comfortable, stagnant, and fearful, your brain will literally wire itself to be comfortable, stagnant, and fearful. You cannot soar like an eagle if you are nesting with turkeys. It is impossible. Here is the hard truth that most people will never face. You may have to walk away. You may have to create distance from people you love, people you have known forever, because they are keeping you small. Not because they are evil, but because they are scared. And their fear is contagious. To believe in yourself, you must change your environment. You must seek out people who are ahead of you, people who have what you want, people who make you feel slightly inadequate because they push you to rise. If you cannot find them physically, find them digitally, read their books, listen to their voices, attend their events. Saturate your environment with fire, and you will catch fire. The moment you change your tribe, you change your trajectory. And I promise you, when you start to grow, some of those old relationships will try to pull you back. Do not let them. Your belief is too precious to be watered down by the comfort of the crowd. Surround yourself with believers, and you will believe. It is that simple, and it is that painful, that feeling in your gut right now, that tightness, that flutter, that voice screaming, stop, turn back, this is too risky. What do you do with it? Most of you run. Most of you have built entire lives around avoiding that feeling. You choose the safe job, the safe relationship, the safe path, all because you cannot stand the discomfort of fear. You have convinced yourself that fear is a stop sign. You have convinced yourself that pain is a signal that you are doing something wrong. But let me flip this completely upside down for you. That pain, that fear, that resistance you feel when you are about to step into something new, that is not a sign to stop. That is a sign that you are pushing against the bars of your cage. That is the exact moment when growth is happening. Think about physical fitness. When you lift a weight that is heavy enough to challenge you, your muscles tear slightly. It hurts. But that pain is not destruction. That pain is the precursor to strength. Your muscle rebuilds itself bigger and stronger because of that pain. The same is true for your belief. The fear you feel when you ask for the raise, when you start the business, when you have the hard conversation, that is the weight. That is the resistance that builds the muscle of your self-trust. Here is where most people get trapped. They interpret the pain of effort as a permanent sentence. They say, this hurts, so I am not meant for this, but the truth is, the pain of discipline is light. It weighs a few ounces, it is temporary, it passes. The pain of regret is heavy. It weighs a ton. It does not pass. It sits on your chest at 3 a.m. for the rest of your life and whispers, what if? That is the real suffering. That is the real agony. So when that fear shows up, when that nausea hits, when that voice tells you to play small, you need to greet it like an old friend. You need to say, thank you. Thank you for showing me that I am on the edge of my growth. And then you push. You push harder than you ever have, because that push, that moment of action in the face of pain, is the exact moment your belief is forged. Every time you lean into the fear instead of running from it, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than you thought. And that proof is undeniable. That proof is permanent. That is how you build a belief that nothing can shake. You have been taught your whole life that success is about getting the money, getting the recognition, getting the promotion, getting the love, getting the approval. You are a human doing, a human acquiring, a human grasping, and yet no matter how much you get, it never seems to be enough, does it? There is always a void, always an emptiness, always a nagging sense that something is missing. And that is because you have it completely backwards. The fastest way to believe in yourself is not to take, it is to give. It is the most counterintuitive principle in the world. And it is also the most powerful. When you shift your focus from what can I get to what can I contribute, something magical happens inside your nervous system. You stop measuring your worth by external validation and start measuring it by your impact. And impact is something you can control. You cannot control whether someone praises you, but you can control whether you show up and serve them. You cannot control whether the world recognizes your genius, but you can control whether you use your genius to solve someone else's problem. Think about it this way. When you are feeling worthless, when you are feeling insecure, when you are spiraling into self-doubt, what do you usually do? You turn inward. You obsess over yourself. You replay your failures, you magnify your flaws, you shrink into a tiny, miserable ball of self-focus. And that self-focus is the very thing that is suffocating you. But the moment you turn your attention outward, the moment you find someone else who is struggling and you offer your help, your time, your wisdom, your presence, something shifts. You immediately realize you have value because you are providing value. You cannot feel worthless while you are making someone else's life better. It is neurologically impossible. The act of giving triggers a release of dopamine and oxytocin, the chemicals of connection and reward. You feel powerful because you are powerful. You feel worthy because you are worthy. So if you want to believe in yourself, stop asking the world what it can do for you. Start asking what you can do for the world. Give without expectation, give without condition, and watch as your belief in yourself grows stronger than it ever has before. Because when you give, you prove to yourself that you have something to give, and that proof is unshakable.